Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about understanding Kaspa mining. So to begin, let's first talk about the two consensus mechanisms that exist in most cryptos. So the first one is proof of stake and the second one is proof of work. Proof of work is the mechanism that enables mining. I do have a video that goes a little bit deeper into understanding the difference of proof of work versus proof of stake. So there should be a card that's going to pop up on this video right now so that you can click that and maybe learn a little bit more about the difference. When a project decides to use the mechanism called proof of work, an algorithm is created. This mining algorithm is pieces of code that is created to enable certain types of hardware to be able to mine the coin. So for Bitcoin, the mining algorithm is called SHA-256. For Dogecoin, it's called Script. And for Kaspa, it's called K-heavy hash. These pieces of code can be created in a way that disables anyone that has miners that have this specific mining algorithm to be able to mine K-heavy hash, for example. Or they can be created in a way that allows less powerful hardware to always mine the coin, rather than making it easier for the most powerful hardware to be able to mine the coin. And we're going to be going into that a little bit later here. So when Kaspa was created, K-heavy hash algorithm was born, and it originally allowed CPUs to start mining Kaspa. This is found in pretty much your everyday computers and laptops. So it is very easy for anyone to run up a node and start mining Kaspa and start receiving coins for their work. Over time, people come in and are able to develop a way for better hardware to start mining the coin. In Kaspa, eventually, within 2 months of it existing, GPUs were then able to start mining Kaspa, and there are a lot of people who really like GPU mining because it enables you to make rigs like this so that you can try to capitalize on how much of the coin you are able to mine. Now, some cryptocurrencies try to make their algorithms only accept GPUs as the highest form of hardware to be able to mine the coin. They usually call themselves ASIC resistant. Now, in the very early days of Kaspa, before ASICs ever came online, there were a lot of people in the community that were highly against ASICs because they believed that it would bring a lot of centralization and prevent the ability for a lot of people to be able to mine Kaspa. And I have videos when this was going on. I have 2 videos here where I discussed the Kaspa and the ASIC mining debate. But to keep it short, ASIC resistance pretty much just never makes sense because there's always a way for someone to create dedicated hardware to mine a specific algorithm. So you are never really truly ASIC resistance, and eventually someone will figure out a way to mine the coin with better hardware, and this will then require the developers to have to develop a brand new mining algorithm that can be resistant to this new hardware that these people have been able to create. And so it just isn't really optimal because you pretty much just pushing the goalpost and pushing the inevitability of what mining algorithms typically trend toward, which is being ASIC mineable and being mined by dedicated hardware. So after GPUs, typically FPGAs come online, and this stands for a field programmable gate array. And these types of circuits are just built to do one job only, which is mine Kaspa. But then there is one more piece of hardware that is even better than this, which is called ASICs, or in other words, an application-specific integrated circuit. And this is what Kaspa is heavily mined with today. ASICs typically can look like this depending on how much hash rate your ASIC is capable of producing, but they can also look as small as this within Kaspa. I mentioned that an ASIC can produce hash rate, and every single piece of mining hardware can produce hash rate, all the way from CPUs up to ASICs. So typically when a coin is CPU mineable, it's first going to be starting off with the CPU being able to mine at hash rates per second and kilohash per second. And then once GPUs come on, you can pretty much do mega hashes per second. And then when ASICs come online, then they can start doing gigahash and terahash per second. And you can see here that the highest hash rate miner that Kaspa has today, which is an ASIC, is currently doing 21 terahashes. All of this hash rate combined makes up the network hash rate, which currently the Kaspa network hash rate is sitting at 1.32 exahash. And you could see that if we convert that to just hashes, this is equivalent to 1 quintillion 320 quadrillion hashes per second that Kaspa is currently operating on. The higher the hash rate, the more secure the network is becoming, and ASIC mining is very important for Kaspa because you want to have powerful hardware that is capable of allowing blocks to come through as fast as they do within Kaspa, which is currently at 1 block per second and eventually will turn into 10 blocks per second. So let's get a little bit more into detail about what miners are actually doing. So when miners come online, you're going to connect to a node. If you want to learn a little bit more about what nodes are, I do have a playlist here that goes a little bit deeper into nodes and explains exactly what they are. But in short, nodes have the rules of the network. And so when you're mining to a node, the node is enforcing the miner to follow all the rules of the network so that no one that is mining can do anything malicious. Miners are then competing to find new blocks and add them to the network. Each block contains a reward, and when a miner finds a block, they are rewarded brand new coin that has never existed, plus some fees depending on the amount of usage the network is having at the time. You could see here that the current block reward for Kaspa is sitting at 69 Kaspa per block. So every time a miner finds a block, they're rewarded 69 Kaspa plus any fees that might be in that block associated to the amount of transactions that were in each of those blocks. You could see here that this is the live block count right now, and you can see that in each block that gets added, there's a certain amount of transactions in them. So anytime you do a transaction on the Kaspa network, your transaction is put into a block and a miner mines this block and gets rewarded for finding the block. Now there's two ways that you can mine Kaspa. You can either mine Kaspa via pools or you can mine Kaspa via solo mining. The difference between the two is that pool mining allows miners to combine all of their hash rate together to a singular entity that is running a node, and then this entity will then disperse the rewards from the blocks found to every single miner in a fair manner. So for example, humpool.com has currently about 308 petahash of the entire network hash rate of Kaspa. This is equivalent to about 6,010 miners. So that means every time the node of Humpool finds a block, then this block reward is then dispersed to all the miners depending on the miner's hash rate as well. The higher hash rate you have, the more you earn. And so that's basically how it works for pool mining. Now, the other method is solo mining, which can be done via pools as well, or it could be done to your own node. I have a video that goes into how you can solo mine to your own node. So if you are interested in doing so, you can take a look at that video and the link will be down below in the description as well. So if you are solo mining, what is happening now is that you are putting your singular miner against the entire network and you are trying to find a block. So depending on your hash rate, the odds of you finding a block may be very high or very low. Now, the difference between mining to a pool or mining to your own node is mainly that if you mine to a pool, you are reliant on their node to be operational so that your miner can remain connected to the network and you also have to pay fees to the pool provider since you are using their service. Whereas if you're mining to your own node, you are no longer reliant on anyone but yourself to be connected to the network, and you also avoid any fees because you are your own node and there are no fees involved when you're running your own node. So all the rewards you get from a block go directly to you only. Now, I want to cover two important things that Kaspa does a lot more efficiently in proof of work mining when comparing it to Bitcoin. So, the first one is that Kaspa does not orphan blocks, which makes mining much more efficient. The reason for this is because within Bitcoin, you have a block chain, and then in this blockchain, there is a chance for something to exist called an orphan block. This orphan block is being represented by block D here, and it's considered a red block. Bitcoin orphans the red block, and the longest chain is not accepted. The miner who mined this block is not rewarded. Any transactions that are in this block are also never processed. So this means that the energy that that miner used to get this block created was completely wasted on the network. And Bitcoin has its block time at 10 minutes to ensure that this orphan block does not get created rapidly, because if it doesn't have a low orphan rate, then the security of Bitcoin could be threatened. So in Kaspa, it improves this because Kaspa will include the orphan block within the network. And this is why Kaspa is called a block DAG, because the blocks within Kaspa are created in a parallel and it no longer needs to orphan this block. Within Kaspa, the red block is part of the longest chain. Now the miner is still not rewarded for creating this block, but the transactions that are in this block are still processed on the network. And then the orphan rate within Kaspa is 0, and it is still able to maintain security, which means the block time is not relevant to security. And that's why Kaspa is able to increase its block time from 1 BPS to all the way up to 10 BPS, meaning 10 blocks per second, which is what you're seeing in this visualizer right here. And this upgrade will be coming very, very soon. So because Kaspa does not orphan blocks, it allows all the mining energy that is used towards Kaspa to actually be beneficial to the network so that nothing is wasted. And then the last thing is Kaspa's block rate increases decentralization of mining. The reason being is because the block rate of Kaspa is currently being processed at about 1 block per second. Now in the future, this will increase to 10 blocks per second, which is what you were seeing previously, but at the moment it is currently processing at 1 block per second. This is 600 times faster than Bitcoin, which right now is processing a block every single 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, a block is added to the network, whereas in Kaspa, every single second, a block is added to the network. This allows Kaspa to process transactions so much faster, and it also increases decentralization of mining. You see, when you have slower block rate, that means there is a less chance of smaller miners being able to find blocks and be rewarded for their work. So this means that pretty much only the powerful miners are able to win most of the blocks, and it forces way more smaller miners to resort to pool mining. And if we compare the pie chart here of pool mining to Bitcoin, you could see that within Bitcoin, there is about over 50% of all the blocks that are being added to the network are via pools, whereas in Kaspa, you can see that it is a lot more distributed, and this 57.8% of unknown blocks is pretty much solo mining. So the higher block rate of Kaspa decreases centralization of creating blocks, which is very important because you should strive for all the blocks in the network to be created in the most decentralized way possible, because if one entity is in charge of all the blocks, Remember, all these blocks contain transactions, and these entities can become malicious and can start censoring blocks, which would then limit the censorship resistance that these cryptocurrencies have. So it's important that it's easy to run nodes and that it is easy to be able to mine to your own node so that there's more options for blocks to be created and you're not reliant on maybe one or two entities. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that it was basic enough to be a video that you can send to anyone who is new to Kaspa and is trying to learn about mining. And before we go, if you guys have not considered getting yourself a Tangem wallet, Tangem has created a Kaspa branded wallet and there's currently 2,221 left. And if you use the code Kaspa Silver at the checkout, you will receive 10% off your order. And I do receive a commission for this and it greatly does support the channel. It is really important that you keep your Kaspa offline and off exchanges because if you keep your Kaspa on an exchange, you don't actually own it. And if the exchange ever goes bankrupt, you may or may not ever see your Kaspa again. So it's important that you self-custody your Kaspa by using a wallet, and Tangem is a good solution for this. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here, and as always, don't be average, be different.